brief introduction because she organization, which is the purpose for her coming here today, and plus for her to know about us too, that we exist, right, Lynn?
Right.
So Lynn is the founder and executive director of STAR, which stands for Shangri-La Therapeutic Academy Riding. And she started STAR 33 years ago with one horse. And she now serves 11 counties from 8, and she serves individuals starting age 4 to seniors with physical, mental, neurological disabilities or those considered at risk. I got this off her website too. So, and she has several different programs at her facility, and there's 2 facilities, which I'm sure she's going to tell you about. I also volunteer at STAR. I haven't lately, but off and on, I've been volunteering off and on for 10 years now. Can't believe it. 10 or 11 years, maybe it's been 11. Crazy. So she is going to tell us all about how her organization serves the community, and tell us all about the different programs. I volunteer for the Barn and the Minis program that serve seniors. That's the program I volunteer for. So anyway, thank you, Lynn, for coming. Welcome. We really appreciate your time today.
Sure. I appreciate you having me.
A dear friend of mine.
Yeah. And I do like it when it's more interactive. So think about questions as we go and just ask, as it comes to you. Because if you're like me, I forget by the time I'm at the end, and then it's like, oh, darn, the opportunity left. So I'm going to hit screen share and see if we can get this thing rolling. This is teaching an old dog new tricks. Oh, look at that. So now I need to show slideshow, right? From beginning. So, all right. So this is us. And as April said, we have been around for 33 years. It was my master's thesis project from the University of Tennessee. My bachelor's is special ed and my master's is therapeutic recreation. And I was their first master's student to graduate. I didn't know that till after I graduated, but yeah. So it's been a long road and not one that was very easy, because people in the early days said that this was not something that was logical. When I was first going through college and trying to convince people, which was in the 70s, that horses and people are a good match, their logic was, it's too much of a liability and no one will allow you to put handicapped individuals around horses, and it's too dangerous, and and they were speaking out of ignorance, and I recognized that, but it didn't make it any easier to swallow. So I just had to kind of stick to my guns and keep going. I worked in a special ed school at Daniel Arthur Special School in Oak Ridge or Anderson County. They served all of the county. And it was a wonderful experience and a wonderful school. Everyone there had a special need of some kind. And I taught 15 through 21-year-olds, multiply impaired individuals. And so I got a really good education on just colostomies and amputations and seizures and just all the different things that I might encounter later on when I put the horse program together. And so it has served me well. I wasn't real happy about going into the classroom, but because I had started a horse program there, but it was fine and it was good and is what I really needed to do, because it did give me that education and background that I could then expand and extrapolate into, okay, if you're putting them on a horse and they have a colostomy bag, what is that going to do? What do you need? What accommodations do you need to make? Or they have seizure activity. At what point is it logical to be able to put them up on top of the horse? Or is it logical? Is it safe? Is it still something that you want to do or that they want to do? So it's, one of those things where as a teacher, I was always putting things together as a curriculum. And so when we got rolling, the first thing was to create a mission, and this is our mission statement. It did stop at disabilities. For years, it was just to foster personal achievement by providing therapeutic experiences using horse-related activities for persons with disabilities. We added on the other special challenges when it became clear that there were other people that needed our services, such as the adjudicated youth and our Changing Strides program, which we'll get into in a little bit. But they don't have a disability per se, but they did have challenges. Our drug and alcohol addiction, that's not necessarily a disability, but it is a challenge. It's a life challenge. So adding that little piece on there enabled us to open up our doors just a little bit broader than just someone that had a disability. So we are an accredited program with PATH, and PATH has been around since 1968. And, it just means we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's, and we're doing everything that we can to hold ourselves to the highest of standards. So our largest program is Therapeutic Riding, and this is pairing children and adults with a horse to learn riding skills. And in the meantime, you are learning right and left-handedness, balance, coordination. It's developing your core strength. This is a child that has severe attention issues. And one of the other instructors who saw this picture said, "Oh my God, how did you get him to sit up so straight? He's usually all slumpy when he's in the saddle." And so just even holding yourself better, which then improves speech, and so communication. One of the things that's very different about our program is that our riders groom and tack their own horse. We feel it's very important that it isn't just a done deal and they walk in, they hop on, they go for a ride, and they hand it back. You don't learn a whole lot that way, and you don't understand the horse as a living, breathing being that is a partner with you. It's not just a joy ride. And so it's very important to us that the students go through the whole process of caring for the animal. Because when you think about it, so often especially our children that have disabilities, are kind of, everything's done for them, and they don't ever get a chance to be that nurturer and the care provider. And you need to flip that script sometimes and let them be the one that is taking charge of this animal, no matter how large or small the animal is. And they're also learning new vocabulary development that way. Their range of motion is increasing as they're lifting the saddle up on the horse's back. So they're developing muscles and just the whole 9 yards. With a saddle, English saddle like that has 4 buckles. And in this day and time, with Velcro, very few buckles are being buckled anymore, but that's a fine motor skill mecca right there to do buckles. And there's 4 of them on an English saddle. So they do the buckles. You see people there that are volunteers to help them and assist them, but not to do for them. And we're very picky about that. You're not their slaves. You're there just to guide and to help them through. Changing Strides is a program that I alluded to earlier, which is, it started out with adjudicated youth and students in an alternative school program in Lenore City. Basically, what we do is take a word for the day, these safety, trust, respect, integrity, dedication, excellence, and sensitivity. And each day we work on one of those words. And of course, safety's first because they're coming into horses and most of them are not horse people. And so we have to discuss what is safe for the horse, what is safe for you, and how to put you two together and still be safe. It has morphed over the years. We still use this basic curriculum, but we have inserted a drug and alcohol addiction into this particular program, and it has worked out really well. And we've got some neat things going on with the Line 9 in Loudon, Monroe, Ray, I think. Anyway, it's the 9th district. And they're going to be using this curriculum, and they'll send their students to us, the ones that are going to be peer tutors, and they're going to be going through this Changing Strides program. But it's all groundwork. It's relationship driven, and it's respect and learning how to communicate with someone that does not speak English. And that does not mean louder is better. It doesn't mean yelling. It doesn't mean poking, prodding, being a bully. That is not the way that you can communicate with the horse. And it's very humbling when they finally figure out that, a horse is a prey animal and we're predators. And so no matter the size of the animal, they still view us as a predator. And when you come in with all this cockiness and this chip on your shoulder and everything, they're going, whoa, I'm out of here, because you are just predator personified, and I don't trust you. And in order to gain the horse's trust, they have to knock that chip off. They have to take a deep breath, get grounded, and be part of the here and now, because horses live in the here and now, and this is what their life is right there in front of them. And if you're worried about, you know, what you did yesterday or what you're going to do tomorrow, then the horse does not want to interact with you. And so it's really cool, because the horse does the teaching. We set it up and supervise and prompt and that, but the horse does the teaching, and it's pretty incredible. We do pre and post tests with this, self testing, and it's incredible what they'll come out with. And some of them they get worse, or it's a negative position at the end. And what you come to realize, like the question will be, you know, I'm really good to my friends. Yes. I'm 5. Well, then after they go through the program, maybe there are 3, and it's self-actualization. You know, I'm not really that good of a friend. I tend to take people, you know, where they aren't, where they shouldn't be. I don't respect them. I don't, you know, I'm not honest with them, that kind of stuff. So we heavily weigh all those questions. We have a statistician that helps us with that, and it's really neat how they will self-report the changes that they experience through working with the horse. Our next program, and Mark can even speak to this, is our Heroes and Horses program. This was started in 2010, so it's been around for 10 years now. There's 2 phases to this program. One part of it is mounted, and it's quite like our therapeutic riding program, in that they're learning riding skills. The other is what this gentleman is doing, is the groundwork, and it is, again, communicating with the horse, an animal that does not speak English, getting it to do what you want, you being the leader that the horse needs. You know, horse's safety is wrapped up in a herd mentality of somebody's got to look out for me, and if it's not going to be you, then I'm going to do the looking out, because I'm not going to hang myself out to dry. There might be a predator around that you know, I wouldn't know about. But if you take on that mantle of being in charge and the one that's going to look after the horse, then they'll relax, like Chip here, and do what you want them to do, but they have to trust that you're going to follow through, and that's real important.
Hey,
It
Lynn,
looks like it's what?
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
So I just want to make everyone understand, like, what type of person would take this would be in this program. You know what I mean? Like,
okay. Most of
how would it benefit them?
Most of the people in this program have PTSD. We have women in the program as well, and then we have some that have physical challenges that they have received from their service to our country. And so most of those guys are riding more than doing this part. After we were in it for a couple of years, we had some guys come in that were really pretty cocky. And it was kind of like, oh, just let me have that horse. I can ride that horse. You know, I drove a tank. And it was like, okay, what? Whoa, hang on a second now. You need to learn how to drop the bravado and be real and be someone that the horse wants to be with. And for some military personnel, that's a challenge, because the military, that's not, the warm fuzzy doesn't exist in the military too much. And so you have to bring that out in them and get them to relate to the horse. And our individuals with PTSD, these were the first ones that were clamoring to come back, especially during COVID, when everything was shut down. And these people are high risk for suicide and other things such as that. And when they were calling frantic saying, can I please come spend time with my horse? And we're sitting there going, you know, we're not supposed to be on the roads, and we were not deemed the essential services and all that kind of stuff. But the desperation in their voices led us to conclude that, yes, you can come out, because we were out every day, or twice a day, we're taking care of horses. So literally there was 3 of them that called us, independent of each other. And one was even a volunteer, and the volunteers are all veterans too. So it doesn't mean that any of them don't have PTSD. They just maybe haven't quite acknowledged it. But this one gentleman, he came in and he was just, I mean, you could tell every nerve had been triggered. And he just said, if I can just spend some time. And so we didn't pull the horse out. We said, you know where he's at, go in his stall and just spend some time with him. And he did. And it was 15, 20 minutes later, he walks out and he was just a different person. And he said, thank you. That's what I needed. And it's the grounding, and it's the in the moment, and the stress relief and all that the horses can bring to the table. It's really pretty incredible. We've had some great success with our individuals in the veterans program. From one guy who never could go to Walmart during the day because it was too many people around, and he was hyper vigilant like a horse is. And when we could get him to sync up with that and say, okay, which one of you is going to be hyper vigilant? Why do you need to be? This horse is looking to you. What does the effect have that your behavior is having on the horse? And when they finally figure that out and they go, oh, I am safe. I'm safe here. And I'll never forget that guy called us one time at 2:00 in the afternoon, because he always went to Walmart like at midnight. And he called and he said, guess where I'm at? And it's like, well, don't know. And he said, I'm at Walmart. It's 2:00 and I'm at Walmart. And it was a huge accomplishment for the man. And he said, it's because of being with the horses and figuring out where safe is and what safe feels like. That once you can accept that feeling and know what it's like, then you can extrapolate that into other areas of your life. Mark, since this is part of your domain, would you like to say something about your experience with the Heroes and Horses program?
Sure. Yeah, I guess it's been 8 years that I've been doing this. It's been a while. And yeah, I know we didn't have the ground program when I started, but, we had we started out slow with me. I started out on lead, and there was no expectations of, where am I going to go with this? A lot of you guys, some of you, April, you might know my story of, I started out in a coma in a wheelchair, there was, I was really bad. And then going and doing this program really gave me a lot of confidence that I was able to do more stuff, and working the hard work I put into this program led me to be able to now I'm actually an independent writer here after these years of putting in this hard work. And it is rewarding to look back and say, wow, I put a lot of work into this, and being around the horses, it's whether you have PTSD or not, just coming out there, if you're having a bad day, you go be around a horse and you develop, they all have different personalities, the ones you have an affinity for, and it's just an amazing program. And all the volunteers for the veteran program are veterans. So it's good for them. It's good for the veterans. And it's like a little family, And I don't know too many of the guys in the other classes, but, we have people that come and go from different classes and you get to know them. And it's just a great little family, great program. It's just one of the highlights of my week. And I can't say anything,
Well,
Thank
I
you
like that you say that
for
it's
this
work,
opportunity.
because it's so often people just think, oh, you're just riding a horse, and they don't realize how much work.
Like you were talking about, physical therapy, occupational therapy, all the things, all the core strength, all the things I've worked in and physical therapy, and things like that. Just being able to sit on the horse and use, the muscles. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for that, Mark.
Well, and that Mark mentioned too, that it's therapeutic just being around horses, because me as a volunteer, I've been around horses since I was a kid, but as a volunteer, it's therapeutic for me to go out there and to the barn or to be around the minis and take them to an assisted living place when we were, doing that stuff. So it is very therapeutic. I'm glad he mentioned that. And there's also volunteer opportunities too. So just thought I'd throw that in, Lynn.
Yeah. Well, we'll wait till they see all the programs and they can pick which ones they want to help in. And like Mark mentioned, in order to work in the Heroes program, it's only veterans. So it's veteran to veteran. Here's the April's, what she was talking about with our minis program. We have miniature donkeys and miniature horses that have been desensitized and trained to go into assisted living places. Typically it's Alzheimer's and dementia units that we take them into, but we also have they do camps, and we do parades with them, and sometimes school children will be doing that type of programming with them as well. But it just lights people up, and it's not a program per se, it's a visitation, and we just want the people to interact. And shoot, when they walk in the room, they just light up, and they have something to say, they tell stories. One story that I like to relate about this was the very first time, initially as a teacher, what my idea was to have a trailer, and we take the minis to schools, and we would do field trips, and they wouldn't have to even leave campus. They would just come out in the parking lot, and we would do a field trip right there. And that wasn't going to swing with Knox County. It was just, there was too many legalities with it. And so we were asked by an assisted living center if we could bring them to them. And I said, well, yeah, we've desensitized them to inside. Sure enough. So it was in the early days, and I would go in first, and I'd put down a rug so that they would stay on the rug, because we didn't have diapers at that point. And if there was an accident, wanted it to be contained. So I go in and put down the rug, and there all the people are sitting around anxiously waiting to see what I'm going to produce. And so I go out and I get them, and I walk in, and we no longer hit the room, and this lady jumps up and she goes, no, horses don't belong in the house. And it was like, oh no. And so it's like, there was a staff member there, and I said, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Do you need me to leave? And she goes, you stay right where you're at. She said, we have not heard her speak since she's been here. And it was like, well, okay. And so, of course, immediately staff had rushed over to her and said, well, Ethel, did you have horses when you were little? And she said, I sure did, but they did not come in the house. And it was like, whoa, we really hit a chord with Ethel. But it got her talking, and then it gave them something to relate to her about, and to spur conversation and stuff like that. And every now and then the staff will come back from having done a visit to this particular place, and they'll go, yeah, that lady still talks about you being the craziest woman on earth that thought to bring horses in the house. It's like, whatever. I am a little outside the box, and that's okay. But they do just light up people's worlds, and that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Reflections is a newer program that we started just last year, and with us serving those with Alzheimer's and dementia in the facilities, it was great. But there are a lot of families that keep their loved ones in their home, and they don't ever get a break. And it's hard being with a family member that has Alzheimer's or dementia. So we brought in some people to train us, the staff, how to manage this type of condition, and the care provider can either take a sit down, or they can be involved. Sometimes the families come and they want to do with grandpa or grandma and whatnot, but it's more getting them talking, getting them moving, getting them active, and then all the stories just kind of flow. And for one gentleman, he was an engineer and had been an engineer all his life. So it's like, well, maybe he wants to see the composter that has the motors and all of the stuff like that, and he's interested in the lighting, and so we would do tours and let him guide where he really wants to be, because he's talking and he's remembering and he's still relating. And so the horses are part of it, but they're not the only part of it. And this is underwritten by Pat Summit Foundation, and is really nice. It's not taken off like gangbusters yet, and I would encourage you all to encourage people that have someone at home that they're caretaking for, to give them our number, because it's $5 to come. It's an hour, and we have one lady that the care provider said she comes on Monday, and for that whole rest of the week, she's so placid, she is so content, she's so willing to do anything, she's just very pleasant and happy and singing in that. And then the next week it's just like, and then it's really difficult to get her to do anything or to be compliant and that. And she said, it's because she's coming to the barn on Monday. And so she said, is there any way that you can have her come every week? And it was like, well, yeah, we can. So this particular woman comes out every week just so that it can make everyone's life a little bit better. And again, if that's what we can do, then so be it. It's amazing. The horses are amazing. And I'm not saying that we are so amazing, because all we're doing is setting the stage for these things to to happen. So, but we do want to grow this program. So if you all are ever aware of anyone, please send them our way. And then now questions. Actually, if I could get back to where I can see your faces, it would be nice, because I'm just yapping at myself. There we go. What kind of questions do you have? There has to be something. Come on.
Did you talk
gotta
about
unmute.
them writing, the leaders and the writing? Did you talk about the writers? Did I miss that?
The therapeutic riders?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was the first one, was the therapeutic riding, where they're learning riding skills, true riding skills, how to sit in the saddle correctly, where your feet need to be, where your hands need to be, steering.
What type of circumstances would people be in to come and do that writing?
It runs the gamut. They have to be 4. And so it could be stuff that they were born with, cerebral palsy, stroke, developmental delayed, but a lot, Down syndrome, CP, I mean, you name it. And then as they get older, we have a bunch on the autism spectrum. That's probably our largest population is those on the spectrum. And then as you get older, you get into the strokers and the head injuries and spinal cord injuries and that. So we can accommodate a wide range of individuals with different needs. We do have restrictions, though. There are weight restrictions on the horses, because they are an equal partner with us, and you don't abuse your partners, and we have to keep them healthy and sound. Uncontrolled seizure activity is not logical to stick somebody up on a tall horse if you know that they're going to have a seizure that's going to knock them off the horse, because it's the person on the side that will take the brunt of it in actuality. So you have to protect your volunteers too. So there are certain conditions, like with spina bifida, with tethered cord, with carry malformation. There are just certain rods in the spine that are contraindicated to putting them on the back of a horse. And so we have to analyze all of that and make sure that it's going to be a safe experience for whomever. We do have a number of ladies with MS that ride with us, and that's been real heartening, because it prolongs their ambulation times so much when they can ride, because the horse is moving you in a natural pattern. You're not having to work yourself quite as hard. But that's been real rewarding too, because most of them become independent riders once we can get their balance and their weakness taken care of. And they're always going to have weaknesses, but at least they're all mentally capable of riding off lead, like Mark. We don't turn just anybody off lead with a horse. They have to be able to manage that animal and take care of the animal, plus the other people in the arena. You can't get on and go yahoo, because then you're endangering everyone else. So we're very conservative and very careful about who does what. But Nancy, did you have a question?
I was curious about 2 things: how you all were funded. I don't think I missed that, but I may have. And then I was wondering how most of your clients get to you. Are they referred by doctors? I don't know how Mark came across you all, but I knew somebody that attended the academy a number of years ago, but I guess I don't see much about it now. And I was wondering how you got clients.
Okay. So how we get our individuals, most of it is word of mouth. But yes, the physicians or physical therapists, occupational therapists do a lot of referring to us. And the VA, Mark, is that how you came through us? Because the VA is our link.
Actually, one of the riders that was there with me at the time, we were at Walter Reed together, and his mom said, "We're from Lenore City." And we said, "What?" So that's right at the same time when we started coming.
Yeah. So word of mouth is usually the easiest way. And with the VA, it was a little bit of a struggle, but it was more the counseling side of it that, you know, one guy would be in a group with the others and going, hey, y'all need to come down and check this out. But parent to parent too. The parents sit there and talk while the students are riding, and then they'll go, you know, so-and-so in their classroom, this would be really good for. And it's amazing how that just propagates. And then anytime we're on media, have media exposure, we get calls and that. But we do have a waiting list to get in the program. How we're funded is there is a lesson fee to ride. We found out early on that if there wasn't a charge, the people would just stand you up. And with the exception of this is our Heroes program. The Heroes, we don't charge them. We can get funding from some other sources to cover that class, but we figure they've given enough. Mark left parts of him back there, and that's given enough for our country. The least we could do is to provide this service for no fee. But on the regular side, the therapeutic riding side, they do pay a portion. An actual cost is $126 an hour, and they pay $40. And then if they have a financial need, they can apply for a sponsorship, and then they pay $20, but they have to give 3 hours of sweat equity back to us for every session they get that, because I have to work twice as hard for your child to come and pay half. So the least you could do is help us clean toilets or sweep the floor or make brownies if we have a concession stand or whatever. One guy shreds for us. And so he'll come in and he'll sit there and shred for, 30 minutes before his class. So it works out really well. We write grants. We have fundraisers. Most years we have fundraisers. This year, not so much. And then the lesson fees, and then private donations. We have, newsletter that goes out. We just had an annual appeal letter that went out, talking to civic groups to get support. So in reality, we try to make up the 3/4 of what they're not paying through all our other means. Good question, though. Thank you. Horses are not cheap to keep. So it's, we do put up our own hay. Our equine ladies are very skilled at maintaining their health and, giving them shots and worming. We do fecal counts and all this kind of stuff. So we're as frugal as we can be, but they literally, in order to stay healthy, it does take money. What other questions you might have?
How wide of an area do you serve? And also, what's like the nearest quote competition that you have for people? How common is what you do out there?
We serve 11 counties, and we say that we've had students from Jamestown before, and right now we don't have anyone from that far away, but they could come. So we don't have a restricted radius. Most of ours are Knox, Loudon, Blount, Sevier, Roane, Monroe, Anderson.
So, Blount, Campbell, Fentress, Knox, Loudon, Jefferson, Monroe,
Fentress we don't have right
Roane,
now. That's Jamestown is Fentress. So, what was your other question?
Is there like an equivalent of you, say like in the Nashville area or Chattanooga?
Yes, there's a program called Saddle Up in Franklin, and we consider them like a sister program to us. I helped them get started years ago, but they only work with children. They do not work with adults, and that's written in their bylaws and everything. And I keep telling them, and they are so sad when their children graduate and everything. It's like, you can change your mission and your bylaws, and they don't want to, that's their prerogative. But there's only a few accredited programs in the state. One's in Memphis. There's 2 in Nashville. The other one is a very small program that works more with homeless and drug and alcohol addiction, and then us. So in this area, there's a program up in called Small Miracles that's up in Tri-Cities. So there really isn't, and very few are accredited. And that's something that we always encourage people. If you're going to look for another program, make sure that because anybody can hang out a shingle in Tennessee, and doesn't mean you're doing it right or safe, or it just, Then you
Well,
say, I got
that
a horse, there's a
raises,
kid.
who accredits you?
PATH,
What-
it's the Professional Association of Therapeutic Horsemanship International. And it is stringent, and I'm a site visitor, so I actually go and accredit other programs, but there's a lot to it, and horses, as wonderful as they are a risk activity, and you have to make sure that you're mitigating that risk as much as possible, so that there aren't wild and crazy accidents, and you're not, everyone's got a helmet on. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how many people are sticking children on horses with no helmets, and you're just going, why? It's just stupid. Like there's safety stirrups on the saddles. The accreditation goes everywhere from the care of the horse, the care of the facility, the care of the clients, and then paperwork. Is everything signed? Do you have a physician's referral? Do you have, you've got to have all of that to do it right.
I got cut out, Lynn. I got disconnected, but did you talk about your 2 facilities and how big they are? Because she's got like 30 horses now out in the North City. So talk a little bit about that, your locations.
Lenore City is 63 acres, and we put up our own hay out there, and we're up to 30. Well, we have 29 horses. We're holding a stall open because we have a horse coming in from Colorado. And then in 2016, we were given a farm off John Sevier Highway that is 47 acres. An email, Lynn, would you like the farm? And you're just going, what? And it's a fabulous place. It's on the lake, and already has an arena and had a house there that we can actually rent the house so we can support the utilities out there and such with the house rental. But we're having to get that place ready because there was no ADA compliance. The building that was the office building was built in 1960. All the doors are narrow. There's stairs to every entrance. The bathrooms, no one could get in. I mean, it was just, it was. And so when we took it over, we quickly had to build it because according to standards, there has to be at least one entrance and exit that is handicap accessible, and then there has to be a bathroom that is. So we quickly got that together. Our long range plan is a capital campaign, which we started the end of last year. So this year was like, yeah, that's not happening, to get that place so that we're not making excuses and having to say we're sorry that it's a gravel parking lot and you've got a wheelchair and now you've got to slog through the gravel trying to get over to where we need you to be. That's not who we are, and that's not what we profess to know. We know better, but you got to have the funds in order to make that happen. And so until we can get that capital campaign going, and it's going to be a couple million to get it done right. Like for instance, the covered arena is wonderful, but it's covered, not closed. And so in the winter, we can't use it. The wind whips through there and it swirls the sand around, and it's like getting sandblasted. And so we just can't use it. So we have to get doors that will come down to make it a enclosed arena or an open arena, depending on the season of the year. So we have the plan, and it will happen. It just will take a while, but it's very close to Knoxville. It's like 11 miles from downtown Knoxville. And we've had Emerald Youth, because it's on the lake and we have wetlands out there. We've done some programming with ecology and keeping the land healthy. In order to have healthy horses, you have to have healthy land. In order for you to be healthy, you have to have healthy land. So we're kind of trying to wrap it all around, saying, horses are part of our ecosphere. You are too, but so are the fish, and so are the birds, and so is the grass, and so are the plants. And we have to take care of the whole thing in order for all of us to be healthy. So we're kind of going at a holistic approach. But when we have camps and bunches of individuals out there, we just break into sections, and one's down by the lake, and one's up at the barn, and one's over in the arena, and then we trade out, and it works really well. But we're hoping to do more work with inner city students, and we've been trying to work with the special ed kids at South Doyle. We're right down the street from South Doyle and Bonnie Kate, but it's Knox County is a little tough to navigate. Apologies if I offend anybody, but it's the truth. Sorry.
Changing gears. Question for you in regards to the horses, are they donated to you or you buy them, and what are you looking for in your horses?
We don't buy them. We don't have the money to purchase animals. They're either leased to us or they're donated. There's a lot of great animals out there that the owners love dearly and don't want to relinquish ownership of, and which is actually fine, because we can bring them into our herd and we care for them as if they're our own. But if they get too old or develop arthritis, they just decide they don't like it anymore, they have a home to go to. Okay. Versus a horse that's donated to us, it's ours. And when something happens and it's lame or it decides it doesn't like it, then we have to find a secondary home for it. We have to try to find a retirement home for it. And that can be challenging, especially with a real old horse. But they come from all over. Like I said, we've got one coming from Colorado because people know how we care for our horses. And so we do get referrals pretty far and wide. And they go through a 3-level screening. The first is on the phone, because you'd be amazed at how many people want to give you a 30-year-old horse that has one hoof in the grave, because they don't want to deal with an old horse that they're going to have to put down. And it's like, oh, but it loves to be petted on. And you're going, well, we do a whole lot more than pet horses here. And so we do that screening. If they pass that, then we go to their home turf and we do a screening there and see what their basic nature is. You get on them and start trotting and drop the reins. Well, do they take off? They run back to the barn? Do they stop? Do they, do something ugly, or do they take care of the rider? And because that's what you want, was their base mind telling them. And then if they pass that, then they come out to us for at least 2 months. And that's where we introduce them to the wheelchairs and the crutches and the squeaky toys and bubbles being blown and just all the different things that they encounter that a typical horse would not. And then we have an overhead lift that will take someone out of a wheelchair and come over and then put them down on a horse. Well, some horses, that's just way too, mountain lionish, and they can't stand there and tolerate that. So we have to go through all of those desensitization things, and then the horse decides if this is acceptable to them. And then they, go in the program. So it's a long process. And once they're in, we want to keep them. And again, that goes to the money, because as they develop arthritis, you want to be able to inject their joints to keep the good horses working, to keep them working pain-free. It's not fair to say, oh, I know, you're 28, so you're a little creaky, but we're just going to keep right on motoring regardless of whether you're in pain or not. That's not our mentality at all. So we do the joint injections and supplements and things like that. They do have chiropractic care. Because their backs are, a lot of times there's unbalanced weight on their back. I mean, this is a young girl, so she doesn't weigh much of anything, but you take an adult who comes out of a wheelchair and doesn't have good core strength and balance, and every time that horse takes a step, they're moving like this on their back, and they basically can be just grinding right into their spine. And so we have to, this horse is very well padded up. We have to monitor that and make sure, again, that we're causing no harm to person or animal. Good question. Anything else?
I guess since you started down that road, since we talked about what screenings the horses have to go through in regards to making sure you don't cause any harm to the actual rider because of some type of physical condition, what kind of stuff do you do to examine, to figure that out?
We have an initial form that we actually can do over the phone, because we'll hit any contraindications there, weight, and then what is the disability, and then based on that disability, if they have Down syndrome, well, do they have latinoaxial subluxation issues? If they do, they can't ride a horse, because it means that their head's going to go like this and you can snap their neck. So it's like, they have spina bifida. Okay, do they have tethered cord? Do they have carry malformation? So we know based on what their disability is, what to ask. And so when we get those answers, we can say, just we can't put them on the horse, but we have evolved enough that we have ground classes for individuals that can't do, for instance, we do line driving with individuals that are too heavy to ride. So they're walking behind the horse like you'd be in a carriage, only there's no carriage. So they're walking. So it's a twofold. Number one, they're still getting to work with the horse, but they're getting a lot of exercise too, because they're walking and even trotting and everything in the arena and out in the fields as well. So we do offer alternative programming, but getting on the horse may not be in the cards for some individuals. And we do that screening on the front end, so they know. We don't wait till they get there and then say, oh, by the way, you have Harrington rods. Sorry, no can do, because the horse moves your spine. And if you have a fixed spine, then the vertebrae on the top and the bottom of that fixation are going to get hyperly mobile. And then pretty soon your rods are going to have to keep moving up and down your spine. And so we're causing harm. It's not helpful for the person to do that.
Any idea what percentage of folks you have to turn down because of that?
Well, very few, because we can do the alternate programming. So
Okay.
Some of them just go, if I can't ride, I don't want to do it. And you're going, God, you're missing such a wonderful experience, because just
the grooming and
yeah,
petting, all that stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so many of the parents are coming from their own, head, and they don't give it a chance. I mean, for instance, we had when COVID hit, and we couldn't have everybody out here. We did family groups because they were already clustered together, and we didn't have to have a volunteer with them. The adults could take care of the child, and we only had one instructor with them. And the activity they were doing was they had one of the ponies out, and they said, well, we're going to paint on the pony. And the mom pulled the instructor aside. She said, I just want you to know that he's very tactily defensive, and you're going to have a paintbrush because he's not going to use his hands to paint. And she goes, like, okay. And so she's holding this platter of paint in her hands, and she reaches to get the paintbrush, and the kid goes, wango, and starts just painting all over this horse and sticking his hand in that paint. And, and the mom's just going, oh my gosh, what is this? And then after they were finished doing all that, she said, now we're going to have to give the horse a bath, because we have put something on him that is not natural, and you can't leave that on him. It's not fair to him. So we're going to bathe him. And the mom, pulls her over and said, just so you know, he doesn't like it to be splashed in his face, and he doesn't like to be, water. It scares him and everything. And she said, oh, okay, fine. So she gets the hose out, and she's getting started, and the kid grabs the hose and mashes it up against the horse's side, which makes the water, just splurt out everywhere, giggling, laughing, having the best time, bathing the horse. And both parents are standing there just going, dang, these are two things I never thought I'd see my child do. And you're going, well, number one, stop putting them in boxes, my own little soapbox. And number two, be careful. Just give them a chance at everything in life. And just because they were tactily defensive with one thing doesn't mean they're going to be tactily defensive with something else. And so it was real eye-opening for the parents too, because a lot of times, well, almost all the time, we don't allow the parents back there. It's like, you take a sit, relax, chill, let us take your child, and we're going to go work with them, because parents will tend to praise when they don't need praising, and they'll the person walks behind a horse, and the parents automatically, having a conniption over there. And it's like, hush, the horse is not going to kick this person. Horses kick out of fear, not because you've walked behind them. And if you're not goosing them and causing them to be afraid, if you're keeping your energy where it needs to be, you have nothing to fear. But the parents are bringing this garbage in, and we have to say, nah, you're over there. You keep that over there, because you're tainting what we're doing and exposing the, and I say children, it's adults as well. So what else you want to know?
I have another question, since I'm on a roll.
Go right ahead.
I'm interested. You had started to say that you had problems with Knox County in terms of stuff. What kind of issues do you have?
Legal. There could be a kid that was allergic to horses. Well, yeah, then maybe that kid doesn't touch them, or maybe they, it's all or nothing. They can't parcel out and say, oh, yeah, bring that on and we'll do it for 99% of the kids, but the one child that can't do it makes the other 99 not be able to do it. And it was just really kind of disheartening, because you're just going, you're supposed to be educators, and educators don't work that way. You educate because learning you're allergic to a horse is an education in and of itself. And there's a lot you can learn without touching them, without, it just, as an educator myself, it's kind of sad to see that we've come to a point where we're so afraid of litigation that we can't do what really.
Are you talking about the schools?
Yeah.
You're talking about Knox County schools or Knox County government? Like
Schools.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
Because we wanted to take the minis trailer to the schools, because they were all being curtailed on their outings and their field trips, which is fine because that's a financial thing, but we would bring it to them, and you could do 5 classrooms in a day, and we were doing history, geography, math, and science. And in that field trip, here's the Shetland Islands, and this is the animal that originated from the Shetland Islands. What does that tell you about the Shetland Islands? Well, you've got a pony that's short and you've got all this hair. Well, there's not much to eat, and it's very, very cold. So we had this, anyway, that's a whole other story, but they were just going, well, no, because there could be a kid that's allergic to horses. And you're just going, wow, that's it. That's where you're going with this. And you just have, so I just accepted it and moved on, and we take the minis into the Alzheimer's and memory care places. And so the seniors are getting the benefit, but we do have homeschool groups that come out. We have special ed groups that come out to us now instead of us going to them. It's just a different take on it now. And that's okay. It was just sad.
Yeah. How about anybody else whose pictures aren't shown on the screen? Got any questions? This is your opportunity.
I actually had one. This is Shazi, but she answered
Oh,
it.
hi, Sassy.
Hey guys. Hey, I have a spinal cord injury, and my spine is fused. And you said with the Harrington rods, you can't ride. Because I was like, oh, that sounds fun, but I wouldn't be able to do it, I don't think then. Right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No, because your spine has to be able to move to accommodate the horse's movement. Even if we gave you the flattest moving horse, it's still, and if you fell, which is always an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you could do other things. I don't know when you got here, Shazi, but you can, they have grooming and all that stuff.
Okay.
There's different things you could do.
Yeah, there's all kinds of education-based stuff. We have the whole digestive system from front to back that it just goes forever. It's a fascinating digestive system. So we do all kinds of education stuff. We do stuff in the barn with the markings of a horse, the different breeds, the coloration. The difference between prey predator, so the senses and how they perceive things different than we do. Not only through vision, but the hearing and the smell.
I'm a Kentucky girl, so I grew up around horses. So I do love horses. They are.
Yeah. Well, and there's stall cleaning, always.
Yeah. I could
Yeah. Oh, and that was April. You had mentioned that, and we could mention that too. That we have a volunteer training coming up, just so that you all are aware. It's that first Saturday in December, the 5th. From 9 to 1, and that's the start of any volunteering, because then you would branch off. If you want to do the minis visits, you'd branch off and do minis training, or if you wanted to do barn helpers, which is feeding, turning out, and cleaning stalls. That's another group of people. There's people that help with the facility. There's people that help school horses, our equine committee. You have to take a riding test and a written test. So there's lots of volunteer, opportunities, but starting with that volunteer training, it's here at Lenore City from 9 to 1 on that day.
And it's very awesome.
Yeah, Shazi, I would say just being around the horses and like I had said earlier, I don't think you were here, but they all have different personalities, and learning to communicate with them through their body language, and learning to do that's an amazing thing, and finding out who they are and them finding out who you are, and going back to the barn the next week and the week after that, and just developing that relationship, even if you don't ride them, is a cool thing. So just
Yeah, you don't have to ride them to
don't ride.
therapeutic, trust me.
So,
I know I haven't ridden in years, and I just eat it up. I go out to the barn and it's just
Yeah. Yeah. Just being around the minis. Oh my gosh. You're just like, I have a story. Just we on one of the mini visits, and I forget which assisted living place it was, but we were outside and the caregiver they bring them outside to the parking lot, and it was around Halloween, and we had them dressed up, and I think it was Honey dressed up as a ladybug. And we use they use the Build-A-Bear shoes. We put Build-A-Bear shoes on the little minis, and it is the cutest thing you've ever seen. So this caregiver is bringing this lady out, and she's in a wheelchair, and she saw Honey, and I mean, she literally started shaking. She was so excited. She could not get there fast enough to start petting, and she was just petting and petting. And it's just amazing to watch. So
yeah, it truly is. And they were the second population to call during this COVID thing. The facilities going, these people have been locked up. They need something warm and fuzzy, but we couldn't take them in, so they would do outside the window visits, and they'd have a dry erase board, and they'd write a question, and then we'd have one and we'd answer it. And
that's so cool.
We've got some pictures that just break your heart of them with their hands on the glass of the window trying to touch, to touch. And then as things relaxed a little bit, there was a one of the facilities in Maryville called us out, and they said, it's a beautiful day, can you come out, and we're going to do it outside, and they're going to touch them, because it was just like, it's been so long. And they had them each in a parking space, so they were well spaced out. And then the minis went in, and they got to put their hands on them, and that's what they need. Touch is so important.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So
all right, so one day you all just need to do a road trip and come out and visit and see something in action. Not now, because we just finished up our last classes, but maybe in the spring, just something to think about and do. Or come out to South Knoxville and pick it apart, because it's the place that doesn't have the ADA compliance. I mean, I can walk through it and go, yeah, that's a joke, and that's really stupid, and this is dangerous. But having some other eyeballs on that would not be a bad plan either, if any of y'all are game to do that.
How does the facility get on your list for visits?
They just call.
They just call. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
one of my senior centers, I actually had a staff meeting out. I started doing staff meetings out in the community at different organizations, so my staff could learn about what's available, and so also they could learn about us. And so I had a staff meeting out there, and Lynn gave us a tour and told us all about it. And we actually had one of the centers took a field trip out there. They took the seniors out, and then we had we had the minis at one of them. So and they were just so thrilled to have that, you know. So, and also we had Lynn at the picnic when we did the picnic before.
Yeah.
So
well, shoot, we hosted Chamber, the Farragut West Knox Chamber a couple weeks ago, and she said, so the minis are going to be there, right? And it was like, well, I hadn't really, okay. So we had to bring the minis in, and that was the highlight of their chamber. It's like, that's pretty awesome.
can you put your website in the chat, Lynn, so everybody can get it?
Sure.
And check out your website.
Let me find out where in the heck it is. Do I have to stop my screen
It's
share?
at the bottom. Just put chat at the bottom where it says chat.
I'll have to stop share. There
And
we
at the
go.
bottom of the screen, it
Yeah,
says
now
chat
I've got it.
and just.
Okay.
Great.
Well, I thank you all for listening, and thank you for asking questions. That's always nice.
Well, thank you for the presentations. Very interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm serious about y'all coming out. You know how that goes, April. Just call if
Yeah.
they want to do a road trip. And
I'll let you
we
know.
could come out during Mark's lesson and they can watch Mark ride.
If he would let us, if he would be okay with that.
How often do
Oh,
you
fine. One thing she didn't mention, every year they do a show where the riders or participants get to show off what they've learned for the year. So I guess we didn't get to do it this year in August, but
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times, and yeah, all the participants and riders come and they do a big day. It's really cool and it's rewarding. And it's not really a competition or anything. Everybody just comes and they have a couple events and everybody does their events that they've practiced for that session. And then, at the end, they judge kind of like, okay, this is how we feel that you did. And then it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And that would be neat, something to watch, to come and watch.
Yeah, the families come and watch and everybody cheers everybody on, and it's just a lot of fun. And it's a good way for everybody to show how they've progressed for the year. And so
Yep.
When is that? When is that held?
I'm sorry.
Is that usually held? What time of year?
It's usually in August, either the first or second weekend in August. We haven't even really set the schedule this year. We're hesitant to put anything down on 2021. It's like, oh, really? This is where we're, anyway. But it's usually at the end of the summer session, so. Mark can
Thank
keep
you
you
so much, Lynn, for coming.
Oh,
I appreciate taking the
You're so
time.
welcome.
Yeah.
And then I can bow out, but how do I just leave and leave you all alone?
Just go to the bottom where it says leave. There's a red, says
There's the
leave.
door.
So leave.
It's very nice meeting you all. Thank you. Yeah, just bye.
Thank you, Lynn, so much.
Whoop, she's gone.
Yeah, she's gone. So,
Okay. Well, that was very nice. Thank you for arranging that, April.
That was great.
sure, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
One of my passion places, one of my.
I can see why.
Yeah, I mean, especially since we didn't get to do the ADA celebration this summer, because I would have learned about it as part of that. So
Yeah, 'cause she's gonna come whenever we do. I mean, if we ever do get a new event, she's gonna come. So
Do you all usually have like a boots and something fundraiser or something? I think some of my friends go to it, so I've just seen like pictures.
yeah, she has her big one is bridles and blue jeans.
Okay, that's it. Blue jeans and okay.
Yeah, but she didn't get to have that this year. They did a live auction or silent auction online, but she has 2 or 3, but that's their big one they usually do in the spring. But like she said, I don't know if
they'll do a used tack sale. People donate their tack and they'll do like a sale in the barn. And
yeah, you have to just look on their website and see when because who knows? I don't know what next year is going to look like. So
yeah. So, you ready for the continuation? I have not seen Anna join us, so she must have really got taken up with something at the office, because I haven't even.
The DRC laptop?
No, that is Catherine sent someone from her office to listen for her.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Okay.
And but Anna, I have not heard back from, which is. I have no idea. So anyhow, let's see. It just as an update here. Okay, it is 4:15. And Mark, technically you should be chairing, but I fear this is so goofy anyway. Like, if everything-
Okay.
I'm thinking we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have enough members present for you to approve the September minutes if you would like. That's what's next on the agenda. Or we can put it off till
Okay.
the next meeting.
Well, I guess I'll ask, has everybody had a chance to look at them? Or we'll go around for approval. Does everybody have any questions or, concerns about them? Okay, and then if I'm correct, I have to go around and have to ask each individual person as opposed to a group thing for this, right?
First, you need a motion to approve in a second, and then you go around and ask everybody individually.
Okay, well, yeah, that's okay, because last time, so have a motion to approve.
I'll make it.
motion to.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay. And then all in favor, Nancy,
Yes.
April,
Yes.
Shazi,
Yes.
Stanley.
Yes.
Okay, minutes approved.
You name yourself.
All in favor?
I don't see anybody else on here.
Yourself. You're a voting
Oh,
member.
yes, yeah.
That's
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Yes, okay.
That's okay. Next
Figuring out
on the
this.
agenda, since I don't have it on the screen, but it's not worth it. The next item for discussion is the DAGWould membership. Last meeting, those of you who are on your 2-year terms agreed to serve again next year, because I've got to get your names on County Commission's agenda for reapproval. So I'm still planning on doing that unless I hear from anybody otherwise. But I'm also looking for a replacement for Tim since he passed away. So I will need a new name so that I can start getting in touch and getting them to answer our questions and forwarding that on to the mayor's office. So does anybody have any suggestions? That's the big question.
When do you have to have them by?
Oh, well, I was hoping to put the name on the January agenda, so I'd like to get it run by the mayor's office, preferably in December, if possible. So we got about a month.
I had one, but realized she doesn't live in Knox County. So that's a problem.
Was that Molly?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, trust me, I tried that already and found out she didn't, and they wouldn't let me do it.
Because she would be great.
I know. So,
Can
but
she
if anybody
move?
has, what was that?
I said, can she move? I'm just kidding.
Take an apartment.
Yeah.
Did Anna have somebody? I thought Anna had somebody.
Somebody did. I remember in the minutes.
Hang on. I'll take a gander.
Well, can we email you a name if we have it?
If you have a name, email it to me, and
Okay.
I'll take it
By
from
the middle of
there.
December.
Yeah, that'd be fine by the middle of December. Let's see.
Okay.
And I'm trying to scan here to see if anybody had, and I have not, just as an FYI, I've not posted the dates for 2021 yet on the website. I figured I'd get through today first and then deal with updating next year. Let's see. I'm not seeing anybody with the name of anything in the minutes under.
Sorry, I might have made that up then.
I
Well, I'm
remember
wondering-
it though, Shotzi.
I'm sorry.
I remember it also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not, I mean, we don't need to
Yeah, I don't think it was,
eyes over it.
it was somebody might have had somebody in mind, and
Yes.
That might have been more of that. So anyhow, so if
The
anybody,
date- And are the dates in the minutes for next year? The meeting dates?
not yet.
the months, I think, let's see.
I don't think they are.
Okay. It's the third Thursday.
And our next meeting is not going to be till February.
Okay. But the third Thursday?
Third Thursday, 3:00.
Okay.
I want to say our months for like February, May, August, November.
That makes sense.
So. But I'll be sending that out, and I'll be getting it posted on the website, both of those. So anyhow, so that was the discussion on replacement. So think about that and just throw out suggestions, and I'll work with it from there. The last thing on the agenda for today, Myers was going to update us about the electronic meetings, because prior to this, we had Anna send a letter and whatnot. So I thought, while Myers was on the phone today, or on the meeting with us, he could update us as to our status, because Lord only knows what's going to be happening come February.
Did everybody see Lee Pope's email to me October 5th? He responded to the letter we sent, and it's a simple response. We're subject to the governor's executive orders suspending the rule requiring a quorum to be present at a location, and the location being what the notice says where the meeting is. Once the governor quits that, every meeting has to be in person. You have to have a quorum at the location that's given in the notice of the meetings. Plus, there's a provision that I read in such a way that seemed to indicate you can get permission to have electronic meetings, but Mr. Pope, Open Records Council, indicated that's only for elected boards for the county commission, should they choose to do that. So when these executive orders run out, well, who knows when that's going to be, we have to have our meetings where we put in the notice, and you have to have a quorum there at that location. Pretty simple answer.
Okay.
I mean,
We like simple, but
what it is.
yeah. So anyhow, we won't know more till later, obviously. So, but on the bright side, like I said, the next meeting is not scheduled till February. April, will you be looking? Oh, Anna and I had talked prior to set the agenda for this meeting. And one of the things we talked about for a potential next speaker was possibly asking somebody, and I don't know who the company is, or somebody from county schools, or who the architecture firm is, who's doing the design for the new school that they're working on, that they recently had a public meeting about. And I'm thinking it was the Lonsdale Elementary School, but we were thinking maybe it might be worth having somebody come and talk and show what kind of accessibility elements that they were incorporating into the design. If you thought that might, yeah, there'd be somebody at schools. I figured, Russ Oakes would be the person I would normally contact, find out, hey, who's your architect on this project? And have either somebody from schools or the architecture firm come and discuss, what they're doing to provide for accessibility at the.
Okay, I agreed to make the speaker schedule and the contacts, but I didn't say I was gonna actually find the speakers for all the meetings. So
So do you want,
Yeah, I'll be happy to try and find out who that is and schedule it. But and then if you guys want to send me ideas for next year to contact people if you guys want speakers, I mean, it's up to you, but I'll be happy to do that for the next one.
I was gonna say, April, if you want, I mean, I can go ahead and contact Russ and get a speaker if that's what you guys would like to hear about potentially in February.
Okay, that's great.
I mean, I have no problems doing that. It was just an idea that we were talking about because Anna was thinking it might be nice to know as part of your bylaws and how you were set up, one of the things had to do with new construction. And Anna was wanting to find out, well, where are the places in the process where you can actually provide input? And I thought that might be something else to get the architect to talk about in terms of when they, as they do their plans and as they present them and whatnot. So
I think that's needed. I think that's very needed to make them aware of, just remind them that there's a lot of things they don't normally seem to consider.
yes.
I'll put it that way to them, but if they do it up front, it's okay. Most of the times, if it's done later on, you know how retrofitting goes.
Well, especially since we saw like the mistakes in the new senior center. So, it's better to get out in front of it.
So, and you'll be happy to know, I guess we can share that. April's going to be getting her automatic doors at the senior center.
Yay.
At Carnes. Yay.
So anyhow, because
It's going to be nice when we get open, when we reopen.
But you'll be ready.
Somebody use them right.
So anyhow, that was all the business that we had for today's meeting. And the good news is it's 4:27. So does anybody else have anything they'd like to talk about or ask questions about, or just want to check in and say, how's it going?
I do have a question related to my experience with trying to get my real license ID or whatever. Is somebody at the state level leases a space? We don't have any control over that, right? Even though it's in our county.
Where were you when you were?
There's only one place in Knoxville, and it's on Mount Brook, which is if you're going down behind Westtown, if you're on Gleason, it's a little past where downtown West is, and it's before Bearden High School. You turn off to the left and you wind your way down to this, just kind of regular office type building. And I'm telling you guys, Bob had to help me last time because there was no handicap parking to step on over this huge, thing under the sidewalk. And I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, I can't imagine.
Driver's license?
Yeah, it was the driver's license, the only one where you can get a real ID in Knoxville.
When did that start? Because I thought you could get one at any of the county clerk's office.
Well, I don't know for sure, but I spent a lot of time on the internet looking, for clues to this whole process. And as far as I know, you can get regular license renewals at the county clerk's office, they got a list of stuff, but you can get real IDs only at this one location. Now,
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
yeah, and in Maryville that day, there were 0 people waiting. So I probably could have gone to Maryville if I'd had time before they closed, because the last person they take is at 4:00. So it was just bad. But I did wonder, since this is a state leased facility, is there any, way to even look at those kind of facilities? Because there are county clerk's offices. Well, I don't know if anybody really wants us to look very closely at them, but that's where other licenses are issued.
Nancy, I'm going to get in touch with my contact at the state. Granted, you know, she's a TDOT person, but she's their accessibility person. She may be able to put me in touch with somebody so I can forward your email to see what kind of response we get.
That'd be
Just to
nice.
find out what, I'll see what I can do for you.
Well, and it's not just for me. I mean, I thought of Shotzi. I thought,
Oh,
oh my
fine, go there.
gosh. Yeah. And
I know,
Mark-
but you're the one who precipitated this discussion. That's why I'll get back in touch with you. And then
Yeah.
when we meet in February, who knows, maybe we'll know something more.
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
And thank you for indulging me.
That note to self, don't go there until I find out, right? Don't try
Right.
Correct.
to.
Just renew your regular license.
Right.
You know, no big deal at all. But you have to be in person to get a real ID.
Well, what I'll probably do, it's not far from where I live, so I'm going to go check it out.
Yeah, please do.
So, okay.
Check out the curb near the front door.
Curb near the front door. Taking notes. Anybody else have anything? How's everybody doing hanging in there at this point?
Still hanging in there. Yeah.
Getting really bored.
I know. I'm regretting not taking more chances this summer since it's still going on now. I was like, if I had known it would still be, or it would be this bad now, I may have taken more chances, you know, back in the summer.
Before it got here real bad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm getting a lot done. I'm getting a lot of projects done. So
Home projects or work projects or both?
what?
Home ones, like home projects, or you talking about
No,
work projects?
Yeah, being closed, you know, I'm torn
That's
in a
true.
little less direction, but yeah. So, but we want to hopefully get open someday when it's safe. So
Yeah. I
Well, we just
wonder when that's going to be. Some of the organizations I belong to, they've already started canceling their in-person meetings for next year. Definitely through this, and their offices are talking about not even opening till at least next summer, and different engineering firms, so in the Southeast. So we'll
Well,
see.
my first grader is quarantined for 14 days. We think
Oh,
because
wow.
the teacher got COVID positive, was COVID positive.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Someone's at the door. I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
well,
That's okay.
is there anything else we need to do?
I think we're
I think this is a wrap. So y'all stay
Okay.
safe. And, we'll email you. Have a good holiday season.
Thank you. You too.
yes, you too.
Thanks, Cindy.
Bye.
Thank